Just a moment.
Ed, you and I are gonna be the ones making the motions and seconding. In the absence, because the chair can't.
Okay, you are live.
Good morning, everybody. For the record, this is the December 12th, 2024 virtual meeting of the Financial Advisory Commission, the Commission's regular December meeting. Welcome, everybody. We have barely a quorum. Me, Fred Sussman, Chair, Jim Cardillo, Vice Chair, and Meehan. Not with us, at least not now, are Commission members Bannon and Brown. With respect to the agenda, I noticed one, actually, Kim pointed out to me one typo in the agenda. Item 7, next meeting, will be January 9th, 2025, not 2024, as noted on the agenda. So we'll take that as an accepted amendment to the agenda, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as corrected.
Motion to approve as amended.
Okay, Mr. Cardillo and Mr. Meehan seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of minutes, we have minutes, action minutes that Kim prepared from the October 10th, 2024 meeting that were distributed. Any comments, questions, corrections about those minutes?
I have a quick question with regards to the minutes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
In the minutes, it refers to the next meeting being the November 14 meeting. That meeting was canceled.
Yes, sir.
How do we address that within the minutes? It's not addressed. All right, I didn't know.
Anything else?
No, then I motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Cardillo, seconded by Mr. Meehan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Motion carries. Reports. Jody, Finance Department. And I presume this is going to be one of your last reports.
Hey, good morning. And I'm not really sure because I'll kind of combine my report with what the Assistant City Manager was going to talk about.
Okay.
We have done interviews for my position. We've done 3 of 6, and this is the first round, and the other 3 are on Monday. Then we're going to recommend a couple of candidates for the city manager to talk to for the second round. So we're underway, but the final decision is not likely to be made at least until January. The city manager is going to be out for a couple weeks, so that it'll be hopefully decided in January, and then it'll be a onboarding time for whoever. If we find a candidate who accepts, then we'll have a future date. So my last date that I gave was ultimately March 31. So I may be here for most of that time. I'm not sure. So we'll see.
Okay,
But I'll keep chugging along.
I think it's fair to say this is not your last meeting.
Yeah,
Your last
no, I'll be
rodeo.
on a couple more at least.
Okay, great. Not for you, but for us, great.
Yeah. The only other thing that I would report is we have the financial audit not only underway, I think they're in the final stages of their testing. And we're having regular update meetings with them. The thing that's delayed this year is the ACFR preparation. The auditors are ultimately helping us with that, but we have to provide them with the initial financial statements that go into that document. So that's what we're delayed on. As you know, my assistant finance director is no longer with me. So we are, Nikki and I and some of the accountants are trying to keep up and do the work. So
Who is no longer with you, Jody?
Julie Donnelly.
Uh-huh. Okay.
She took another position.
Okay.
So she's gone, and she was the primary point person on the financial statements. So I'm doing some of that work, and my accounting manager and some of the accountants are also helping. So it's going to take us a little longer to get the financials out this year.
Any questions of Jody on the finance department report? Hearing none, do you have anything else on the city manager side?
No, she was just gonna talk about the finance director, position and our status.
Okay, you covered that very capably. Thank you very
Mhm.
much for the thorough explanation. Audit committee, do you have anything from the audit committee other than you're still hoping for and looking for somebody to take your place on the audit committee? And I'm putting that out there to, I guess the only other member, Mr. Behan. But that having been said, do you have anything from the audit committee?
Thank you. The audit committee continues to advise the finance committee chair on two matters. One is the issue that was raised through a hotline request about the city's contract with the Market House. So the audit committee continues to advise the finance chair on that, and also the implementation and monitoring of the performance measures of the city departments. The assistant city manager manages that process, and the audit committee continues to advise the assistant city manager on how to best manage that and report back in an oversight capacity to the to the audit committee, excuse me.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions, comments, for Jim Cardillo on the audit committee? No. Okay, moving right along. Is there any update regarding the spending affordability letters that the commission sent to the city council after the October meeting?
Yes.
Yes, Alderman.
All right.
I was hoping you would raise your hand.
Yes. So I think we're well on our way to having draft legislation. If you look at the enabling legislation for the Financial Advisory Commission, there it's in Title II, 48, and there is a 130 section that is reserved, and I think that's a very nice place to slip in what the affordability model could go if we decide that it is going to be a function of the fact as opposed to a separate new body of people that would advise on that. Cynthia Reuter has done a really nice job of finding some good examples of other counties that have these sorts of bodies. The ones that I'm looking at most closely with her are from Prince George's County and from Queen Anne's County. And what I have done, and Cynthia hasn't seen this yet, is to begin drafting a section on spending affordability, Title II, 48, 130. And it says the Financial Advisory Commission shall make advisory recommendations to the city manager, finance director, the mayor, and the city council concerning spending affordabilities, ways to improve the city's budget procedures and policies and other related areas upon request by the administration or the council. And then there's a really nice list of things that I'm sort of paring down to basically copy what Prince George's County has done. The next steps are I need to sit down with the city finance director, particularly before she flies away. But my sense is that the way this could work is that the finance department will purchase the forecasting services. And that means that there will have to be a project officer in finance that would be responsible for the procurement, unless we're lucky enough to be able to piggyback on the county or the state forecasting services. And if that's the case, I think there'll need to be somebody in finance that will make sure that we get the reports. But the process then would be to pass those forecasts to all of the parties, but to the fact as one of those parties. And the fact would deliberate on the forecast, and as we've always done, work in concert with the finance director, and there would be a report. My sense is that report should be something that would be no later than the end of each year, so that it'll be in the hands of the finance director and the city manager when they start the next year's budget. So that would be the reporting period. That would mean, I would think that the fact would need to get the forecast certainly no later than October, and depending upon the availability from the vendor that's chosen, possibly even sooner than that. Obviously, the sooner we get it, the older it is by the time it goes to the the finance director and the city manager for implementation. But that's, I feel very good that we've come a long way. I'm very, very grateful to the fact for the letter, even though there was one back in 2021 that got not taken advantage of. But I think we're really moving quickly towards having something. But the question for the fact is, from what I've said, I am making the fact essentially the outside spending affordability committee that most other jurisdictions use. So it would be you will be an outside committee, but it'll be part of your other duties, not creating from scratch a brand new committee. Most of them have a committee of 3 to 5 persons. They have to have financial background experience, and it goes on. And PG and Anne Arundel County both have done a nice job on the committees. What I'm proposing to do, and you will obviously have a chance to review all of this before it's submitted, is to make the fact the outside committee.
Thank you very much on that, Alderman. Let me ask one question. That is, has there been any acknowledgement by the mayor and council of receipt of our letter? Or has it just gone in some file somewhere and you're picking it up and running with it because of such import to you personally?
I don't know that there's been, I mean, I would assume that the acknowledgement would come back from the city manager or the finance director. I don't know that that has happened, but I am certainly acknowledging receipt of it and running with it to get it into the legislation.
Well, Brett, your efforts in that are greatly appreciated. Thank you very, very much. Questions, comments for Alderman Arnett? Yes, Mr. Cardillo.
Thank you. In addition to the recommendations in the letter, in a way that there's a cost that would be associated with this function. The FAC is recommending that the city adopt this function. It comes with a cost. How can we be assured that this cost will be identified in the budget for the upcoming fiscal year?
Well, I'll have to consult with the city attorney and the legislative writer, but I think it's in there by implication now. I think some of the things that need to be sorted out is we need to approach both the county and the state to see if they're interested in us piggybacking. I actually did talk to the comptroller, and she was very excited actually that we were thinking about doing this. So but I think that's a detail that obviously needs to be taken care of, but I don't have that worked out at this point.
Thank you. Would the external firm retained for this report to the finance committee? I'm asking a question. I don't know who the finance director. I don't believe that the external consultants would be reporting to the commission.
The way I have it written, they're actually reporting to the administration, which includes the city manager and the finance director, to the city council and to the FAC. They will
Okay.
be sending that forecast to all concerned parties. I don't think there's a reason to narrow it and keep it in one place. And I think everybody should be able to look at it as soon as we've received it. But the function of the fact is to take that forecast and it will have to be adjusted to the city's mix of revenues. We're much more heavily dependent on, as you know, property tax than say the county, and certainly the state has sales tax and we don't. But the fact would then take that forecast, and that's all it is, and make a recommendation. The forecast in the vendor I'm thinking of, there's actually a consortium of 5 vendors. They each make a forecast. That forecast has a range. And then the function of the people at Towson University is to coalesce those 5 into a single forecast recommendation that itself has a range. Those are things that the fact will take into account and may recommend that, looks like there's rough roads ahead. We should stay to the lower end of the range, or, looks like we're in pretty good shape. We need to go to the higher end of the range. That's the value added for the fact. The value added for the city is both the input from the fact, but also, as Director Dickinson mentioned a few meetings ago, it's an outside forecast. And one of the things that we need to determine in this, for how many years out, I'm thinking 5, and I think they do it that far out, but it's an outside forecast that he or she can rely on when they're doing their putting together the current budget. As the director indicated, that she's always looking at the out years, and this is a group that can help us think about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions for the Alderman? No? Well, thank you very much, and thank you for, taking the lead on this at the council level, Alderman. Look forward to receiving whatever you or somebody else want to provide to us for review. So thank you very much and have a great holiday.
Joe, thank you.
Okay, next, 2024 annual report. As you know, each year, the FAC and all other city boards and commissions have to prepare and submit to the city clerk an annual report of their activities and attendance during the prior calendar year. That is due about the second week in January. Kim quite graciously has told me that she will prepare and may even be in the process of preparing a draft of that report. And I will distribute that, after I've had a chance to review it and give any comments I may have, and we'll hopefully have it ready for our January meeting, January 9th meeting. It needs to be submitted shortly after that. So I would ask that when I send it to you, do as you typically do, and that is relatively timely and promptly review it, give any comments so we can incorporate any of your comments into the final product that will be given to the commission for approval at our January 9th, 2025 meeting. Any questions or comments on the annual report? No. Okay. Elections. 2025, each year we elect a chair and vice chair. I'm going to hold off on that until the January 9th, 2025 meeting, when hopefully we'll have a full group here. And anybody who chooses or would like to submit their names for either chair or vice chair are willing to do so. In the absence of any other desires, requests, nominations, I believe that Jim has agreed to me to serve one more year as vice chair, and I've said to him, if you're not ready to step up to chair, Somebody will have to, kick me or drag me kicking and screaming to, be chair for one more year. And who knows, we're taking it one at a time in this world. So is there any objection to deferring election of chair and vice chair for 2025 to, our January 9th, 2025 meeting?
No objection.
Hearing none, so ordered. Well, that sounded good, so ordered. I don't think I've said that one before. And finally, the 2025 budget timeline. I sent you all a budget timeline document prepared by the city manager, as well as some materials from a resolution proposing a budget timeline prepared by and submitted by the city council. The only comment I would make is it looks like it's a fairly tight time frame for any fact input. And I would also note that on one of those documents, there's a dual reference to comments from the fact on the CIP due by a certain date, but nothing in there dealing with comments from the fact with respect to the operating budget. So I think somebody ought to take a look at that and make necessary correction. I believe, Jim, you had some comments or questions you wanted to pose this morning.
Thank you. First, thank you to Jody or Kim for forwarding the memo. I appreciate the memo as the background. Unfortunately, I believe that what is in the memo did not make it into the legislation. There's a reference in the legislation in the we got a first reader, but I understand from Kim that has been voted on at the last city council meeting. My issue is comments are requested back on May the 10th, and the fact meeting is on May the 9th. So that was not in the memo, but that's what made it into the legislation. So that's my concern.
The concern is that it doesn't give the fact much time to review, prepare comments, prepare a letter, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so the legislation, R5524, May 9th, 2025, due date for budget amendment ideas and recommendations from city council members of the finance department. I guess there's an implied reference there to the Financial Advisory Commission by May 9, but our meeting is actually May 8th. So it requires a quick turnaround. If we had until the 12th to provide comments, it would allow us to better formulate a comprehensive document.
Okay. I don't have anything to add on that. Yes, Jody.
Yeah, so that May 9th date is not for the fact. That is for the council. Once they meet with all the departments and have some time to put some thoughts together, we have a deadline whereby any ideas the council has for things they want to change in the budget that's going to need an amendment to the budget, we want that by a certain date so that we have some time to draft those amendments. The staff usually gets, I don't know, it can be upwards of 50 amendments to draft, and we have to have those ready within a couple weeks. And so we've asked the council to meet a deadline as to when they can submit those ideas. We would expect the FAC report to be at the same time as the Finance Committee report that's coming in on the 12th, although it's not specifically mentioned here.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, that's not
May
for
8th fact
you.
meeting.
Yeah, if you have recommendations, those would be taken into account at the same time the Finance Committee report is being submitted.
Thank you. Thank you. There was a gap between the memo and the legislation. So the fact meeting is on Thursday, May 8th. Our report is due back on May the 12th. So that's a Thursday to a Monday.
So I want to check in the code. I know there's something written in the code. I think that's correct. So but there's code language around it too. So let me check on that as well.
Jim, as in past years, we may need to have a special meeting or
Mhm.
something else to turn this around as quickly as we need to. So, or we may get some special dispensation if we're working diligently and are off by a day or so. I hope that somebody's not gonna dig a hole and throw us in there. So in any event, any
Okay.
other questions, Jim?
What, the last question, I don't want to take up Mr. Meehan's time. The April 24 joint meeting with the Finance Committee, as soon as a time is available for that, because that meeting is indicated to be a joint meeting with the Finance Committee and Financial Advisory Commission. So as soon as a time is available for that meeting on April 24,
Okay.
I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I can say that it's a work session. Those are usually in the afternoon. Those usually start around 3, but sometimes we do tweak the time a little bit. So
Okay.
we'll get back to you when we have that time set.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like a 2 hour. So if it goes one,
It is.
I would like to reserve the time as soon as possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did I hear somebody saying, yes, Alderman?
I would note that we did not have a city council work session on the 5th on the budget, so I assume that date will get changed.
So I assume so as well. The timing on this, we tried to get this submitted before that meeting was scheduled. And it didn't happen, and the council didn't vote on it before that meeting, so I assume that we're gonna have to reschedule that date.
Hey, Jody, and Ed, I know you need to leave momentarily, so this is just my last question. Jody, how do you envision that it's going to work with a new finance director just coming on board very shortly before all these deadlines? Is somebody in your office going to be tasked with moving the whole budget process forward in your absence?
So the budget team will be charged with that. What I'm hoping is we find a candidate, and I have offered to stay on and transition that person. I'm hoping that'll be a few weeks' time, so hopefully that'll be enough time to get them up to speed on the budget process. And our budget team has been in place. We've got another member on the budget team, so they're strengthening in numbers and in skills. So I think that that'll work better. They have more years here. And then I will transition the new director with enough time to get up to speed on the budget process. One of the things I told the city manager when I gave my notice is that I'd consider working on special projects on a part-time basis after March. So we'll just have to see how that works out, and if they want to do that, if budget would be one of those things or not. So we'll have to wait and see on that. It depends on the timing. And
Thank you. You have very, very, very big shoes to fill. And thank you for all, everything you've done.
thank you.
One comment on the agenda. Whether Jody, Alderman Arnett, city manager, whoever, it might be nice to find 1 or 2 people to fill out the complement of membership on the FAC. Our membership is supposed to be 7. We've been at 5 for a while. Today quorum was challenging for some reason. I think we had to cancel a meeting last month because of quorum. And the work we do is important, and it would be, I think, hopefully, well, not hopefully, but it would be better if we'd have more great minds, weighing in on all this stuff and helping with our deliberative process. So I just throw that out there. I don't know if there's anybody out there in the community who might be interested, capable, willing, all that stuff. But if you hear of anybody, please, let's try and move on it. anything else for the good of the order, other than, next meeting is January 9th, 2025. So, anything else for the good of the order? No.
Motion to adjourn?
Wait a minute,
Seconded.
Oh,
wait a minute, you're too fast. I want to wish everybody a very happy, healthy, safe holiday season, and, hopefully no need to see you before the new year. And just plan on seeing on, January 9th, okay? Motion made, seconded, and, all in favor, aye.